Yo, what's going on guys? Rhys here from More Than Lifting, and I've teamed up with the guys at Myprotein to bring you this video on grip strength. Let's get into it. Right guys, so we're going to start off with a couple of warm-up exercises to get our wrists moving. So we're just going to start fists, kind of like this, rolling our wrists. We're going to go back the other way. It's obviously very important to warm up before you start exercising, just to get your body prepared for this, especially with your wrists because there's so many moving parts. So next thing we're going to do is just put our hands together like this, bind our fingers and roll this way. I'm going to go back the other way. And then just for myself, I like to switch fingers so the other hand's around way around, and then do it the same. Now back. Just get this going a couple of times. All right, then two really important stretches that we're going to go through is the ostrich, like this. You're going to go ostrich, grab the beak, and you're going to pull your arm, you're pulling your fingers back into your elbows. You're going to pull like this, trying to get your elbow pit facing up. So this is really important to do because what this is doing is stretching your extensors, especially after 5 to 10 seconds, we're going to internally rotate our shoulder like this. We try and get our elbow pointing up instead. Keep pulling with your fingers back into your elbow pit now. And yeah, this is really good for stretching your forearms. So it's one of those things that it's very difficult to stretch your extensors effectively, and this is great to do just standing up. Do the other side, ostrich, grab the beak. You want to get your fingers and thumbs in this. Fingers and thumb. Gonna elbow pit up to start off with, just pulling back into your elbow. Then we're gonna internally rotate our shoulder like this, so our elbow's pointing up, pulling back. And you should feel it here around your wrist and then up your forearm as well. Okay, cool. All right. So next we're gonna do a couple little things on the floor, so I'm gonna show you that. Right, so we're gonna start on our hands and knees. We're gonna have our fingers pointing out to the side with our palms down. And what we're gonna do is just rock back and forth like this. Okay, and we're going to flip our hands over, keeping our fingers pointing out but with our palms facing up. And then we're going to do the same, just rocking back and forth. Okay, and then the last one, we're going to bring our fingers back to our knees, palms flat. And then we're just going to sit back onto our heels. Sit back as far back as we can, just letting them stretch nicely. Okay, cool. That's it for warm-up exercises. Let's get into some strength stuff. Right guys, the first exercise we're going to be doing is on the rings. The rings are one of the best bits of equipment to train your forearms because you have to hold on, they want to move around, they want to try and get out of your way whenever you're doing an exercise. So these are a really powerful tool, especially for training your grip strength. Okay, so the first exercise we're going to be doing is in support on the rings, which is on top. And what we're going to be doing are called turnouts. So we're going to get into our support, up like this. Now we're going to turn out to 45 degrees and back in. You can see I'm shaking around like crazy. It's a lot harder than it looks, and give this as a bit of an excuse as well. But what we're going to do by doing that is we don't want to turn any further past 45 degrees, because the further out we go, the wider our shoulders are going to get, and we're going to end up with our hands out here somewhere instead of tight into our body. We want to imagine we're trying to keep our hands in our pockets, so we're holding the rings tight into our body while we're doing the turnouts, and then just externally rotating a tiny bit and pulling back in. And as I'm doing the demo there, you see my shoulders and my elbows more or less stay in the same position, and I'm focusing on just keeping my hands moving and my wrists moving here. Okay, I'm not trying to go out and in like this with my shoulders or anything like that. I'm trying to keep them fixed, solid position, shoulders slightly protracted, because you're going to be holding the ring slightly in front of you. And we're just going to do the turns like this. Right guys, the other exercise to do on rings is really not an exercise so much as it is just a discipline, and that's called the false grip, which is where you have your hands like this. And what false grip is for, so you have your palms on top of the rings for when you get above the rings into what's called a supported position from hang. Okay, so whenever you're training on the rings, you can also do this on the bar. It's good to maintain this false grip. It's good to be very disciplined with it. And what we're going to do is we essentially put our hands straight into our palms on top of the rings like this, and then we grip. Okay, when we're hanging then, we're going to keep our hand in that position so our palm is on top and our grip is strong. Okay, and that's going to get us hanging like this. Okay, so what we're going to do is anytime we're on the rings and the bar as well, we're going to do pull-ups, everything, muscle-ups, whatever, levers, all in a false grip. So we're going to start like this, hang. when you hang in a false grip, you're gonna have your arms straight, but you need to turn your palms out, your fingers out to the side like this, because if you're like this, you're gonna encourage your biceps to work, and then your grip's gonna slip and you're gonna come off. Okay, so we need to start with our hands pointing out. It's much easier to maintain that position. Then when you pull, you're gonna turn your hands in, lift up, and turn like that. Okay, so that's how you're gonna do your pull-ups when you're working a false grip. Okay, remember to get short for this because it's very difficult to maintain your grip. But this is what's going to build a lot of strength in your wrists and in your grip. And you're going to be rotating like this a lot, which is working those muscles a lot more than it would just being fixed on a bar. All right? Right, guys, so you don't just have to use rings, you can also use a bar for a lot of grip strength things. And one of the best things to do from a bar is simply hanging. Okay, and what you're doing when you're hanging is you're basically taking all of your weight on your hands. So that's going to really work your grip strength. It's the equivalent of doing like an 80 kilo deadlift almost, or just carrying that weight for time. So we're going to get into our position. Remember to try and maintain a false grip to help improve our strength in our hands. It's never going to be perfect, so you don't need to necessarily be like this. You're going to be able to get your arms straight, so your hand's going to slip around a little bit. But we're just going to carry our weight as long as we can. We're going to hold, aim for about 1 minute to 2 minutes if you can. And if it's really easy, you can think about going to like one arm hold like this and hanging like this, okay? If you want to do in your one arm, you can switch and alternate sides, do 30 seconds each side, and do that for time, okay? Right guys, so there are a couple of push-up variations of this you can do as well to help with your grip strength. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just start on the hands and knees because it's quite tough, and we're gonna push our fingers and our knuckles into the ground and lift our palms up. So we're gonna push like this. Pushing up. Okay, we want to keep our arms straight. We just want to move from our hands. Okay, and once you get a decent level of this, like this can be quite easy quite quickly. This isn't really doing a lot. Then you can think about progressing into doing full push-up versions. So you're going to come right out and push up like this. This is a lot harder to do. It's going to take, struggling on that. It's going to take a lot more strength, and that's a really good way to kind of increase the difficulty as you get better. All right? Right guys, so another great exercise you can do are called towel twists, which are basically you're going to be wringing out a towel or pretending that you are. So you're going to start with like a towel or a dishcloth or something like that. Towels are better because they're generally thicker, and you want a nice, something solid you can grab onto, not something like tiny and little. You want to be actually actively holding it the whole time. Okay, so what you're going to do is you can do it like this to your heart's content, that's okay. But what's better is actually holding your arms out like this, because it forces you to take that into your wrists and into your forearms and in your hands, training that grip to wring it out, rather than doing it here where you can have your arms bent and you end up doing it with your elbows and with your shoulders as well. You want to try to kind of isolate your forearms as much as you can. You just adjust your grip, get it nice and tight and hold for time. And then you twist the other way. And you want to actively be thinking about actually turning your wrist like this while you're doing it. You don't want to just be like holding it and kind of being like, you want to be active about it. If anyone manages to actually rip a towel like this, send me images or videos on Instagram, I'd love to see it. I don't think I've ever met anyone who can, but yeah, you've got to try. Okay, cool. Towel twist. There is another way of doing this which I find a bit more fun because I like to make the most out of the time. So what I'm going to do here is do it in a hollow body hold. Okay, so in the hollow hold, what we're going to do is we're going to lay on the floor on our back. We're going to lift our shoulders up off the ground like this, so our lower back's pushed down against the floor, and we're going to lift our feet up. Okay, and you're going to feel a lot of this in your core, and you're going to have your arms straight, and you're going to do this grip strength work. Hold it for time. And what you're going to do is about 10 to 15 seconds each side. Remember to be always actively twisting the towel as if you're wringing it out. Keep your feet up, keep your shoulders up the whole time. Just going to do this. Okay, that's a way just to train your grip whilst you're also training your core. Compound exercises. Right guys, so the next exercise is a very simple drill that we're going to use to help work our forearms and our grip strength. We're going to get a nice little pole or like a shovel or a little like broom or something like that would be great. I've got a bit of my pull-up bar here. I'm going to hold it out at arm's length, and then I'm going to try and keep my elbow, my shoulder in a fixed position. I'm just going to try and do little semicircles like this. I'm going to pull it back. I'm going to keep my arms straight as I do this. I don't want to be loading anywhere else. I just want to be isolating my forearm and working that grip. Okay, this is a lot harder than it looks, and it's a great exercise to help build strength in the forearms, grip strength especially. And we're just going to go and try and do like 5 to 8 of these. Work up with weight if you can, stick something on the end, get a bigger, heavier bar, golf club, small animal, like big stick or anything, something like that that you can use to do this with, all right? Right guys, so the last one I'm going to show you is a bit of a fun one. What you're going to need to do is get your shakers like this and tie them up, fill them up with water, and we're going to get our bar or our whatever we're using for our previous exercise would be great, like any kind of rod, broomstick or whatever would be great for this. And you're going to get a bit of string, tie them up. You're going to tie this up around here. So I'm just going to do this quickly. And then what we're going to do is we're basically going to do something similar to those like towel twists where we're wringing out the towel, but we're going to do this with the bar. And what we're going to do with it is actually using the weight for resistance is going to make this a lot tougher. Okay, so I'm just going to, hopefully this holds and doesn't unwind on me. It might take you a while to actually get something that holds still and stable. You might have to just double, triple wrap it all up to try and keep the tension. Once it's going, it's all right, because it's just going to wind up around the pole, but initially you might struggle and it might slip. Okay, so the moment of truth, I'm going to hold the bar out. You want that kind of in the middle. Hold the bar out at arm's length, and then you're just going to wind it up like this, as high as you can. Keeping your arms straight. You're just trying to do this with your forearms. And you're just going to wind it up. And you want to move your forearms and your wrists as much as you can to really get the most out of each little bit. Biggest range of motion you can. Wind it up, all the way to the top. It's getting there, it's getting there. And then you're going to wind it all the way down. Keeping your arms straight. Try and stay solid, nice and strong with it. Just want to move our wrists as much as we can while we're doing this. All the way back down to the ground. And this is going to burn. This is burning my heart so much. All right, guys. So we want to do a couple of sets of that as well. That's a really good exercise to improve your grip strength. Yeah, I mean, that is it. Right guys, that's it for me and this video on grip strength. Try all these exercises, give them a go. Leave any questions or comments you got in the box below and I'll get back to you. Otherwise, check me out at More Than Lifting on Instagram, and I'll catch up with you soon. Keep in touch with yourselves.